Hi everyone, great to see you on our presentation today. I'm glad to present you topic Blockchain 101 for business professionals. So let me just note that this session is being recorded, and the recording actually and presentation will be shared on the public resources. So your microphones are muted, so all the questions are very welcomed in the chat. So we will see all these questions and you can vote for them, and for sure on the Q&A session we will discuss them. Moreover, there is a contest for the best question, and we recommended to ask those questions with names on them. So let me introduce our speaker. And the topic. So today our focus will be on the business use cases of a blockchain technology. And the speaker, the wonderful Sasha Pitkevich, principal and business consultant responsible for EPAM Blockchain practice, leader of EPAM Blockchain community, and active participant of Ethereum community. You know, she has so tremendous experience in business projects in blockchain that she knows so much and so passionate about blockchain that sometimes I feel that, I know who is hired by alias of Satoshi Nakamoto. So meet Sasha, our blockchain super expert, and very welcome. Wait for your questions.
Thank you, Andrei, for such a wonderful presentation of myself. Well, you actually made me flattering because, yeah, I'm definitely not a Satoshi Nakamoto. But I'm indeed Sasha Pitkevich, and I'm going to introduce our audience for blockchain, or how we say 101, basically basics. But tailor it not for, or is it usually done for technical people, but today we are presenting this topic for business professionals. And a little bit about myself. I'm indeed Sasha, and I'm in the blockchain world for more than 5 years. And yeah, I do believe that blockchain technology will change the world. And when I was first introduced to the topic, I looked at that and said, oh, it changes the paradigm, it changes the ways how we do business. And the most interesting part of the blockchain technology for me was always adoption of how to use the technology, not how to make this technology richer. Well, it's obviously interesting, but the most interesting part is how it's changing the world. What new abilities and skills it gives the businesses, and how we can, what actually really catch my mind is what new benefits we can get out of this technology. And obviously, when you are looking to that, the first thing which comes to your mind is, well, now you can do business with anyone in the world, not knowing who is that, and being safe. Means you can involve in the business all those green crocodiles, pink flamingos, give them wallets and see what they are going to use with that. But those are kind of futuristic approaches when the cars are self-piloted and earning money, and when human beings are excluded from the business. But yeah, all those are from books of William Gibson, and that's catch me at the first moment. And then I started to work with that. I spent several years working at Alexandra doing blockchain. Then I joined EPAM and driving blockchain practice here. And every time the business applicability is it's getting interesting and more interesting every day. So I've been witnessing how the world digesting blockchain topic. And if 4 years ago there was we have this new shiny stuff and we all want to have that, and we all want to have the badge, we know something about blockchain, we're reading news about blockchain, then it's started to shift where, oh, we did a POC with blockchain, how cool is that? Luckily, those times are more or less past. And now when the business is looking to the blockchain technology, they normally read enough about that, understand enough about this, and already have in their pockets one or two proof of concepts where the concept is actually proven. And at the same time, there are not that many companies who have the working blockchain solutions in production. And that's a very interesting moment where companies started to look at that seriously. They're not learning now, they are doing that. And they're looking at that from the angle which is not very common for technical professionals who actually put the technology forward. Because the main questions of the businesses is, how do I operate that? How do I live with that for next 30, 50, 80 years? And those questions needs to be answered prior to go live. Just imagine that if you are going live with one of like blockchain implementations for pension system, which means that this solution and this data has to stay in this system at least 80 years, 80. How many technologies do you know which are in the market for 80 years stably? Then you're looking, okay, that couldn't be truth, which means that you should keep the same data and more or less the same functionality on the growing, on the technology, and evolving this technology for 80 years without losing that, because like in blockchain, we are promising 100% auditability. And then you understand the whole complexity of what we are facing now when we're speaking about the adoption. And that's exactly the moment where most of the businesses are looking at now. All the C-level businesses, they're ready to say yes for blockchain solutions. Like there are enough evidence that it will work. But their main question is how? And about that, we are going to talk, and we are going to look at those projects and how the project organization will give certain security to the business that the solution would be stable. But first thing first, I guess majority of the business professionals and majority of the C-level businesses already understood that blockchain and decentralization, and some people use the word DLT, is much more than just a Bitcoin or Ethereum. It's just much more than a cryptocurrency where you can earn significant amount of money on volatility. Also, for the technology companies, it's already more or less clear that the blockchain is a technology which is very promising to give a full power for such things as Internet of Things and artificial intelligence. And in this case, like the examples of where the people looking would be when you have sensors, like, in those containers where you transport drugs, and you need to collect those data and arrange that in time, and then be sure that nothing is missed and nothing is misinterpreted, because you would like to tie your SLA for transportations to the data which sensors give you from the containers, because, for example, drugs needs to be transported in a certain temperature and a certain humidity. And also, again, very recent addition, when we are looking to the world in the COVID times, where the most of the businesses are suffering or going to suffer or feeling that it's very difficult to do innovations in those times because of like low cash flow. Then the blockchain concept is shining from another side, because when you are implementing decentralized solutions, you normally have multiple parties involved, and you normally have a possibilities of those multiple parties invest in a solution, which means that if previously there should be one company who is dedicating the full budget to implement something, here you can shape a consortium. You can do a joint investment much more safely and much more easily. And that's another side which were basically our the current timing is giving to the blockchain applicability. So The technology is pretty disruptive. It introduces a lot of new use cases, and we will look to how basically evaluate those use cases and how to understand if it's a good case for blockchain technology or not. At the same time, technology may give you a lot of operational benefits. Again, look at the possibilities and look at the shiny side where you are dividing operation responsibilities between an ecosystem of the companies who are involved in the same side of the business. You basically, the functionality in operations becoming richer and richer. At the same time, that introduces quite some challenges. A lot of people who were trying to operate enterprise-wide project understood that it was challenging enough even for one organization, and then try to think how we are going to do the same across multiple organizations. For that, technology actually demands new methodology, new approach. And some people are looking to a blockchain as, you know, a decentralized database where you can keep like the transaction flow, and when all the parties are looking to the same transaction flow. And that's indeed right. But while we are looking to the technology, we should always consider the business side. Basically, not look at the technology like, okay, the pure ability to glue one brick to another brick, but look how those bricks give you certain abilities in the world, give your company certain possibilities in the world. And as any technology, like basically, blockchain technology is not a silver bullet. It's not perfect for any type of the use case, for any type of the business case. And well, again, as any technology, every time you are going to use that, you should evaluate that it's suitable and it will help. And well, currently the times have changed. Like 3 years ago, the people were coming to me saying, we would like to have a blockchain solution. And when I started to dig and ask, what are you going to achieve on the business side? Very frequently it's appeared that they just want to have a new shiny thing. And I had to tell them, no, let's look from another side. And basically, let's see. And the ability to look from another side, that's is gathered from the understanding what blockchain technology actually gives you. And here I would put you in a certain time back, in the times where internet was like not really starting, but already widely used. But for what we used internet in the beginning? Emails, websites, publish certain information, transfer certain information, send pictures, send videos. And if you will look at that from a technology point of view, that was internet of information. You were sharing information and exchanging information. And every time you were sharing that, you were sending copies of information. Sending video and picture to your friend, you were sending copies of that. Sending documents to a business partner, you were sending copies of the documents. And therefore, for many years, internet for us was internet of information. Then time has changed, and we started to connect a lot of devices to internet. For many of you, in your car, you do have now internet connection, and you do some operations with your car via internet. In some cases, where recently I was buying the microwave, it has a Wi-Fi and it needs to connect to internet. I was laughing, but still, it gets the new drivers, it gets new recipes from internet, from like provider, and many other like mobile phones, definitely. A lot of equipment for the businesses now is connected through internet, managed through internet, and slowly, last I think already half of the decade, internet morphing from internet of information to internet of things. And I would say that our current situation is we are having internet of things right now, because the majority of the information which is transferred is the information from the devices. And now we started to speak about blockchain technology. What blockchain technology introduces in this world? what was unpredictable and not possible before is instant value transfer. Think back about cryptocurrency, which is just a number, but the number which represents value, and a blockchain technology. And that's starting from all those, cryptocurrency exchanges, trading programs. It allows you to move that value over the network instantly, secure, and traceable. And traceable not in terms of your identity, but in terms of like auditable, I would say. It's always clear from what account to what account the value has moved. But that's irreversible. That's real and true instant movement of value, which introduces tremendous business opportunity in the world. Because previously, all the value movements, they had a time lag. It's every time when you transfer the money before, there was, okay, I'm trying to transfer the money and that will appear on your account in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, in some cases even longer. And there's always had this glitch where a lot of things can happen in between. First of all the parties can disappear, or one of the parties can disappear. Second, the party can have no money anymore. And yeah, indeed, a lot of things could happen, but not in a blockchain world. In a blockchain, everything is instant. And to move further and to understand the depths of blockchain, let's look at the timeline. In 2008, the technology appeared from a wonderful paper of Satoshi Nakamoto, which was just a combination, and I'm saying just not to make it smaller, but make it simpler. There was a combination of previously existing technologies, where there was a sending data, where there was a hash function, and all of this was known before. Satoshi Nakamoto just combined that in a combination which allowed us to have a cryptocurrency and to trade a cryptocurrency. And to my humble opinion, it would never fly that high if genius Vitalik Buterin in 2013 not introduced the concept of the smart contracts to ours, adding business functionality, adding ability to program business functionality to the instant value transfer. That changed everything. After that, everything started to move like avalanche. In 2015, already all major technology companies were experimenting with blockchain and were doing the blockchain solutions, were actually enriching the ecosystem. In 2016, there were a number of startups and businesses who were trying the solutions in a production, kind of like small businesses trying to go live with that. And 2018, there were already disruptive use cases went live and being live with the bigger companies. And we are now between 18 and 23, where we actually expect that in the next 3 years, some of the blockchain solutions would substitute the existing database or existing business solutions in the world. We actually believe that currently there's high adaptation process where the world is already using blockchain, but making that more operational, more usable from end user point of view. And in 3-5 years, that would be fully live. And that's why those times are most interesting now for us. And we do expect that further, the majority of the world solutions, again, internet and everything which is built on that, will move to blockchain technology. You probably hear that there are white papers for Web 3.0, which is fully on blockchain, and about DeFi movements where a lot of financial use cases are moved on the blockchain and experimented with the blockchain. There are, I think, more than 100 companies in DeFi working on a financial services use cases. So you can see that, again, instant value transfer plus possibility to program the business logic is what we were speaking about. And well, let's try to basically summarize, which we were speaking before, and probably add a little bit to fully understand on a business level what is blockchain or distributed ledger technologies. First of all, a lot of people used to look at that as a type of the distributed database system where the copies of each database are stored on every node, which means that every node owner can look to the complete set of the data and therefore can base their decisions over new transactions based on a complete set of the data. And the important thing here is a transaction order. Basically, the blockchain, because there are many blockchain technologies, the difference between them is first, how do they make certain transaction order of the pool of the transactions which are happening, which are introduced by the certain nodes, and in a consensus mechanism. So how they understand in what sequence transactions came, how they glue transactions together in a chain, and how they agree if transaction has happened or not. Then obviously cryptography is used to ensure that the copies of the databases across the network are identical, and they in cryptography is used to enforce the proper access permissions. So we identify the transaction source and the transaction destination by the cryptography parameters. And we're also using cryptography and all those hash functions to make sure that the copies of the data are identical. Transaction in the blockchain world represents either transfer of information, basically evolving certain data set in a network, either tokenized value. In a very simplified way, you can think about that as the cryptocurrency. But normally we're thinking about the tokenized value because, well, not all the tokens is a cryptocurrency. Yeah, at least if we will look deep enough. We must understand that blockchain technology is very versatile. There are different models how transactions are validated and how consensus is achieved in between nodes. That's actually where one blockchain technology varies from another. And we also must understand that blockchain solution is not always open public network. There are a lot of models how it can be implemented, and I'm expecting that the next slide we will look a little bit deeper on the flavors. Yeah, indeed. First of all, widely known blockchain technologies as like Bitcoin, Ethereum, they're public and permissionless, which means that everyone can join without any invitation. Like you just install the software and you are free to join. And everyone can see all the transactions happening in a network and the content of that. That's called public and permissionless. Opposite to public, there are private networks. And those networks require either consensus of the participants to introduce a new member, either certain type of invitation, basically procedure to include a new members. So networks can be public where everyone can join, and private where you need an invitation, some sort of the invitation. And also the networks can be permissionless and permissioned. And those are, independent characteristics. It can be public permissionless or public permissioned. And that means that within a public network where everyone can join, we can define what parties can do and what they can see. That's called permission. The same way for private networks. It can be private and permissionless, where within a private network, everyone can see everything and can do everything. Or it can be private and permissioned, where you need an invitation to join the network, and then your rights within the network are defined. And I would say that in enterprise world, the most of the business solutions nowadays, and again, enterprise world, they are private and permissioned, because a lot of businesses are very concerned about the data they're sharing, means transactions, and the way they're processing data, means business logic, smart contracts, or on-chain code. Then let's look to the decentralized record keeping. Basically, we're already saying that blockchain technology can be looked, blockchain solution can be looked at as a decentralized database. And what can we do over this database? First of all, we can send value. You can do the value exchange over the network, and the value in these cases is moved as a tokenized value, like we are moving tokens over the network from one account to another account. And yeah, those are the solutions where like the payments at the back of that, where we are speaking about some sort of value or money being transferred. And in parallel of that, there are another group of the blockchain solutions. There are solutions where ecosystem jointly mutates some data set. It's basically where ecosystem needs jointly to manage certain objects with a certain properties. And basically, that's not when one company is mutating the data set. For that, in most cases, just a database is good. But we are speaking in a shared and decentralized solution where the multiple parties needs to involve the data set, and basically all of the participants are dependent on the data and then statuses on this. So those are the two typical paradigm for any, like for the blockchain solution. You can say that in the majority of cases, you can say there's either one or the another. And that's also your way to think and to understand your use case. Are we speaking about a value transfer, or we're speaking about the data evolving? And let's look first time from the point of the business owner. How does it help me? You were speaking about like the paradigm and patterns of the use cases, but how does it help my business? And here we're saying about like 4 characteristics. First of all, blockchain technology definitely saves time. And here, like, I do expect quite some questions erasing, because the people will say, okay, but we heard that the blockchain technology is slow and the transaction processing is slow in the technology. And here I would respond, slow comparing to what? Definitely, we are not competing with the situation where one database needs to process the transactions. But what we are speaking is we have multiple parties involved. Means in like word without blockchain, reconciliation in between several databases. And all the even business professionals who met this situation in their life would understand that it's endless discussion about where the master data is and what and how to do the reconciliation, how frequently to do the reconciliation, and how to solve issues. Normally, the business people are very much involved in the situations where the data, which has to be the same, not the same anymore, and designing business processes how to recover from this situation. Blockchain solutions eliminate this situation. And well, therefore, we're seeing that probably investing a little bit in a time of processing every transaction, we are saving a lot on distributing those results across the ecosystem. Then one of very, I think, well-known characteristics of the blockchain solution or benefits of blockchain solution that removes cost. That's actually removes all the overhead companies, all the companies who secure that the data indeed is the data which we intended to share. The companies who secure and working as an escrow So in all the situations when you had to deposit certain value, basically to eliminate the risks, is not really useful anymore, because you can instantly transfer the value depending on a certain business circumstances. Basically, if SLA is met, you can transfer the money. If SLA is breached, you can really tight the penalty or money transfer from like service account, from like servicing company account, exactly at the moment when SLA is breached. You can even program that. And that's why it reduces the risk. I'm moving to the third quality where it helps. That's reducing all the fraud types where there's like situations where the networks and data networks are being hacked, where the information is doubled, where the information is substituted. And at the same time, it reduces the risk because the value transfers appear to be instant and irreversible. And all those together, it improves trust. Basically, where you remove the extra effort and extra cost on unnecessary services, where the risk of fraud is close to zero, and where you really see what is happening in your shared database. Basically, when you can always follow on what your partners do and how they do that, it's really improves the trust. You really looking at the same data. That's normally requires a certain time to digest. Basically, guys, try to think about the situation where you have companies who do the business together and they do all the administrations on its own. And then you have reconciliation by the end of the day, end of the month, end of the year, and try to think about this gap of the day, of the month, of the year, where the data can be different and can be manipulated. Now, it's not like this. Now you really, in real time, looking at the shared data set between those companies. And when they change something, you know about that immediately. And that introduces a trust, not because we magically started to trust each other, we don't know what. It's because our trust is grounded by the information we have. And then second level, probably more understandable, like more concrete for the business, how blockchain technology can help certain industries. Obviously, like first thing which comes to the mind, all the financial institutions could settle transactions in the minutes instead of the days. And here I'm using, I think that's the really joke with the long bird. But I'm normally asking audience, have you ever heard about a cross-country email? And normally I see the big eyes from the public and they started to laugh and say, okay, cross-country email. But at the same time, you all know about cross-country money transfers. And why the heck? Because like all the money transfers are now, it's not like I physically bring the money to another bank. The same electronic record. Why the heck it has to take such a long? Why it cannot be the same as email? Because in email, like less than a minute and you get that. And it's the same electronic information. Why we cannot do the same with the money? Like blockchain technology, we can. Then supply chain cases. All the retailers and manufacturers can track the origins of or movements of the inventory of the goods across supply chain. And that's not like they said me that it was there. No, it's I can see that it is there. And in every time, in a supply chain, in a modern supply chains, where about 100 participants are involved in one, that's very vital to know where the subject of the question, like either goods, either inventory, where it is, and who is responsible for that right now, or who was responsible for that at a certain moment of time. Those eliminates all the insurance questions, all the penalty, all the SLA questions. And the blockchain technology gives you this possibility. And then you can really detailing manage the flow of the goods. You can, and documentation, and obviously the payments that are related. Remember, the payments appear to be instant. And you can have your set of the documentation every time independently where the goods are, where like it really ties all the business operations to the subject of that. And it gives you a possibility to see the real-time status and to manipulate that. And it also, well, I've been already speaking about all those companies who guarantee for you that the certain operations will go smoothly. Those middleman companies who are serving as escrow, who are serving as insurers of the certain operations, you can get rid of that. At the same time, you can really ensure that all the participants in the food chain, they are bringing the value, and you can see what value they're bringing, and you can manage that. And basically, that's now the management from like one business level can be shifted to inter-business level. Now you can manage your supply chain network as a combination of many businesses. That's actually the business opportunity which blockchain technology does. It shifts the focus from one business management to the ecosystem management. Then we are going to look closely to the use case and understand if it's a good business case, for good use case for blockchain technology or not. And every time we are looking to any use case, we need to ask three major questions to ourselves. First of all, what is in this use case? What brings the value? Is it a current business challenge? Basically, it improves something in the current business, or is it a new business opportunity, new revenue line? Then, who are participants of the process? Who are the what are the roles in our use case? Who is participating? And the third question, again, the name of technology can be substituted here. Why blockchain? Like, we are looking to the cases if they're applicable for blockchain technology. And that's why we're asking, why the heck blockchain technology is good for that? And these checks needs to be done. It's like we're not implementing blockchain for the sake of blockchain. And here are the 6 major characteristics of the blockchain use case. I've been mentioning them along my talk already, but let's look in the details to that. First of all, normally in a good blockchain use case, multiple ecosystem partners are involved. We are speaking about cross entities business and not about one entity business. In case of one entity, we need to look deeper because in some cases there are subdivisions in a certain entity where you would like you have the business in between subdivisions and you don't want to power one of the subdivisions with ability to make a final decision. When you need a decentralized decision making, you can have a blockchain solution for one business entity thinking about the subdivisions on that. But still, you see the multiple ecosystem parties involved. Then, a good characteristic of the blockchain use case is when you need the audit tracking of what is happening, when you need this auditability from your use case, where you need to look at a moment at the past and to be sure what has happened, where you need a sequence of the transactions and you need to be sure that all your ecosystem parties are looking at the same transaction sequence. And what most important, where you need to prove for controlling organization, for some sort of the controlling organizations, because it's not necessarily organization, in some cases can be public. For example, when we are speaking about drugs and like sports celebrities or sports people participating somewhere, here the most important case is publicity, where you can demonstrate that your track record is certain. Then when we are speaking about like multiple ecosystem partners involved, and I've already introduced two patterns in a blockchain solution, one of which is joint mutation of the data. And as we are doing that on a transaction basis, it can happen that you have the shared transaction acceptance, where the acceptance of your transaction depends not only from a sender and receiver, but there are other parties involved in that. Those use cases are perfect for the blockchain. Obvious, very simple data reconciliation, where you store the same data, probably different attributes, but the same data across your ecosystem. You can save a lot on data reconciliation implementing blockchain solution. Disintermediation, I've been already speaking on that. If you'd like to remove unnecessary spends, unnecessary effort, which is introduced by the organization which secure your transaction, which evidence your information transfer, you can do that with blockchain. And well, last but not least, where you need a collaboration across multiple parties, where some of the parties can stay anonymous or pseudonymous. And here you can think about, like, you know, a lot of recent COVID tracing approaches where you don't want people to sacrifice their identity for the sake of being saved and share the information. And there are a lot of similar cases in the business world. So those are the 6 unique, I would say, characteristics of the good blockchain use case. Then look from a business perspective. What does it give us? And well, it's any business solution and can be divided by 2 groups. First of all, we can look at the solution which is revenue generating, which is new business opportunity where blockchain solution acts as a disruptor and where it approaches your business area and on a new way, where you introduce the totally new services, or you do that with the tremendous, where the new approach for the same services is achieved. Those are like really disruptive use cases. Also, blockchain introduces the new revenue generating flows where the tokenization is involved, where you are moving physical assets into digital world, where you are tokenizing and all the use cases associated to that. All those tokenized property renting, tokenized, where I would say, where you would like to buy the apartments and when you'd like to do that as a group. So basically that introduces different investment algorithms to the lower markets, to like more public markets where companies or individuals can do that jointly. Those are the new revenue generating streams, and they're very well approachable by blockchain solutions. And at the same time, and probably in a recession world we have now, probably like more important now, those are the cost savings mechanisms where we are increasing efficiency of our solutions. And the majority, like, well, let's place in a reconciliation, removing moving man, improving auditability, improving tracking of what we are doing. And the majority of that is associated to the record keeping mechanisms, because what we are doing the distributed record keeping. And then every use case, and these algorithms are provided for us by the World Economic Forum. And this is a very simple, I think, 10 steps evaluation flow where you can evaluate your use case, if it's good for blockchain or not. That's very usable. Very public. You can easily go to the site of the World Economic Forum and see for like evaluation, like blockchain evaluation, like use case, and they get this flow. And I would honestly say we are using that on every our blockchain deal. And this always says like what that gives you the high level truth. Internally at EPAM, we have like more intricate mechanisms which tells us what composition of the blockchain technology is better for the particular use case, or if we are shifting to the solutions which integrate the blockchain data with the backend client solutions or something. But on the basic level, if you need to answer yes or no, that's a very good mechanism. I wouldn't go for that step by step because it's pretty self-explanatory. Then let's look to the real life examples of like in the different areas of the business, which are already live, which are working, and which are kind of well known. First of all, basically, when the blockchain technology just appeared in the world, the most financial professionals started to look at that. It looked natural for them because of like probably cryptocurrency, but also from all the algorithms which are implemented, look very attractive for the financial world. And we already know that Amex has opened a payment corridor and doing those cross-country money payments over the blockchain technology. We all know about the huge Ripple network, where which is actually the real-time gross settlement system. And you can, for example, go to the Google Maps, look to the Ripple network, like search for that, and it will show you the real-time network and all the participants. And you would be surprised of how many banks are already involved, already have Ripple channels, and are able to move money over the blockchain. Speaking about the cryptocurrency world, you know a lot of cryptocurrency exchanges are existing. And the EPAM DLT solution, like CryptoCortex, is used for many of the cryptocurrency exchanges as an analytics solution. And basically, those are like what the cryptocurrency exchange is normal financial institution, and it needs its own science, and CryptoCortex provides them this science, and basically that gets the data from blockchain network and digest that and gives a lot of mechanisms to visualize data, analyze data, connect AI to that. There are solutions in insurance. For example, you can see why if you are a frequent flyer or if you are like flying a lot, okay, not these times, but if you were flying a lot and if you will be in the future, the AHA French insurance company have implemented a solution where you are getting a refund if your flight was delayed or canceled without any hassle. You just subscribing for the service and you are immediately refunded where the flight is like starting later or just canceled. And remember how many papers you need to file in the past to get the same. Then retail manufacturing world. Here, one of the common challenge is to fight the counterfeit situations, track origins of the product, make sure that the origin which the seller tells you is indeed true, and in many cases the sources of this origin, like where you are using something to produce something and you need to be sure that it's a certain quality and coming from this certain producer. For that, there are many solutions in the world. There is also EPAM Sigma Ledger network, which helps you with the supply chain traceability and also with a lot of coupon work and a lot of like loyalty things. There are provenance solution, which is well known for people in Europe, and traveling across Europe. In many cases, you can have provenance DAP in your mobile phone, and you can check the sources of the certain like sausages, jams, and a lot of farm products in small shops, and to be absolutely sure about the sources of that and the origins of that. And also a lot of those traceability and the supply chain life solutions, they're looking to the origins and to the transparency of all the parameters across supply chain. Then speaking,
I'm sorry, Alexandra, that I'm interrupting you, but I'm just listening to you, and you amaze me by the things I told at the beginning of the presentation, that there is something magician in you, that while our guys start asking questions about EPAM projects on the blockchain and actually some business cases within the EPAM, you just bring these answers on the table, and that's really amazing. And this topic is actually really interesting for our audience, and they ask a lot of questions. And if you don't mind, I would want to read one of them to you, for answering. And that's the question is actually the most. So. Can you share the most surprising case of a successful blockchain implementation, either done by EPAM or widely known, except Bitcoin actually? By surprising, it means like something seems suitable for blockchain, but turned out the huge success.
Surprising one. I'm trying to guess what is surprising for the audience, and for that you need to know the audience better. I would say I would a little bit twist the question, and I would say that I always have in mind the remarkable and like the hugest success in a blockchain on a country level. And I will give you Estonian solution as an answer, because in Estonia, the blockchain solution, and that's actually a hardware blockchain solution, is used in like wide country basis. All the citizens of Estonia, they have the digital ID cards with basically identification and crypto parameters in. Those are like the chip cards, and they can identify themselves. And all this government services, like including all the taxes, including all fines, like after fines, like road fines, all those, when you need to subscribe your child to the daycare, when you need to go to the doctor, all the papers, everything is done on a blockchain network. And the remarkable in this implementation, that's the government introduces the backbone for those type of the activities, and every organization providing such services implement its own application which shares the parts of the data, and therefore even like less likely, but even if the network is hacked or something, the intruder will get only the pieces of the data which are totally meaningless. And that's impossible to combine that in a whole picture of a certain citizen. And I believe that the wideness of the adoption and the reach of the services provided over this network is truly remarkable. And also the operational agility, because they introduced it live, I think, more than 3 years ago, with very small subset of the services. And that was growing and growing over the time, and reached now there's a very, very rich set of the services with any where any citizen can consume. And also it's truly remarkable of wideness of the adoption. Like all Estonian citizens are in.
Thank you so
much. I hope I amazed you enough to go and Google that. You will see a lot, and you can see also a lot in YouTube and explanations. And I think that's not like most original implementation of blockchain, because the people were speaking about voting and something, but I would say that amazes on its maturity and maturity of adoption.
Thank you, Sasha, for such explanation. Yeah, the Estonian example is the one of the best success in the world.
Well, that comes first to the mind, right? When you want to impress the people, because they think, oh, okay, blockchain solutions are only in the future. And they say, no, 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 they're real and they're now. And that's actually the background of my talk. I'm trying to persuade you that it's already happening now. That's like a fast train which is moving. And the only thing which we can do, we can jump in and basically manage the world from that.
You know what exactly what is actually right now, and what is interested our audience, and they're asking a lot about that. It's how the blockchain is relates, and is there any kind of solutions for the COVID-19? So what is existed now?
Well, there are a hell of them.
Topic.
That's like, guys, I can speak about this for another hour. There are a lot of solutions. And normally, like when I say COVID solution, that normally the contact tracing solutions, where the party is identifying itself somehow. And in most cases, in most countries, they're trying to do pseudonymous stuff. So you don't have to tell your passport number or your your tax number, and that's normally where a blockchain is. That's normally like this self-sovereign identity topic, or another implementation of the identity paradigm is done on blockchain. Not always, but you can look. I'm thinking, because now almost every country, or almost every big country, I would say, or big in terms of, I don't know, technology level, have the COVID tracing solution. I also say that EPAM has its own COVID tracing solution, which we were proposing to the many countries. And okay, I don't remember from the top of my head where it's implemented, but I would say that it was very positively looked by many countries, and it's already implemented of like 3 or 4 of them. It's like how I remember that. So even we are already in this game, but there are COVID tracing solutions I know in Israel. I heard about the German solutions. There are solutions. Well, there are solutions in Russia. I think Yandex is tracing something, and those are either contact tracing, either the tracing of people who are already sick and mapping that to the geography to let people know where the source of the disease is.
Thank you, Sasha. I see that we have only 2 minutes left, and I see how discussion appears for this topic, and you know what, I encourage you to actually join our discussion panel by the link I've just posted, and here we will answer on the questions actually which was not answered during this session, and for sure you can ask another questions during this discussion panel, and to help you to dig deeper into this topic, to understand it more. And thank you, Sasha, so much for your great presentation, for driving this topic and our interest in it. And it was like kind of time for you to say the last things.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm always glad to speak over the blockchain topics, and I do have to to say much more about that. It's pity that we didn't have enough time to move to practical implementation of a blockchain project, but I do hope with the high interest of our audience, we can arrange another session, or guys ask questions. We will answer all the questions offline, and we will publish either video, either write-up of our answers. And yeah, stay tuned. Obviously, one day we will do the event on the blockchain, and I will speak about blockchain from all the angles. Thank you.
Thank you, Sasha, so much. I remind you that the video and the materials will be published and you will be able to connect them and look through them. So thank you so much. We'll be glad to see you on a discussion panel and answering your questions. Have a wonderful day. Bye.